It's that time again. It is dupe day. Our favorite high-end stores like Pottery Barn, Kirklands, and West Elm have released their Christmas decor for this year, and it is beautiful, but per usual, it is out of my price range. So today I'm going to show you how you can take those high-end looks as inspiration and save hundreds of dollars DIYing instead of buying for Christmas. You're watching Whiskey and Whit. My name is Whitney, and a huge welcome back to my whiskey craft buddies who are here every week to DIY with me. I am so thankful for you guys. Let's get into the dupes. We're getting started now.
For the past couple of years, these bronze reindeers have been all the rage from Pottery Barn, but they are so expensive. So we're going to do a Dollar Tree dupe for these. In their plus section, they have these reindeer for $5. And if you look behind, they do have some options that are the dark color, but chances are you'll probably find something that's not the color that you want, like these white ones or those Dollar Tree ones. So the easiest way to get the look that you want is pick a color in a flat spray paint and transform it yourself. It's a quick, easy, and super inexpensive way to get that black matte finish that the Pottery Barn one has without a ton of time or money. What I also like about my version is that they actually look like reindeer. Those other ones are a little too modern and wonky for my taste. I really love that these truly look like reindeer and they're beautiful with greenery. They are a huge bang for your buck because you can leave them up all through winter, and they are cheaper to begin with. I love the smell of cinnamon at Christmas time, and I loved these LED candles, but not for 60 bucks a pop. So instead I went to Dollar Tree. I found some LED pillar candles. You can find these at Walmart, Target, Hobby Lobby, all the places if you can't find them at Dollar Tree. And then I grabbed some of these super inexpensive craft cinnamon sticks from Hobby Lobby. They're 50% off, so these small ones, the package was like $3, and all I had to do was take a rubber band that I also got from Dollar Tree, wrap it around the center of my LED candle, and then use the space between the rubber band and the candle to fill it out with the cinnamon sticks. These small ones were the perfect size for the Dollar Tree candle, and you can kind of adjust or trim down those larger ones if you need a different size, but this worked out great. It was a happy accident that everything was the perfect sizing. Once everything was where I wanted it, I added a second rubber band just so nothing would move around on me. And then I used some more of that black velvet ribbon from Hobby Lobby to tie it off. Now, I know some people don't like black in their Christmas decor, and I totally get it. I like the modern vibes with the greenery, but you could do red, you could do green, but whatever color you choose, tie it off, trim your ends, and then you're good to go. I also did the same thing with 2 LED candles stacked for the larger ones, which ended up being a great size for those larger cinnamon sticks. This was a little bit trickier just because I didn't want to hook the top candle to the bottom, because if I did that, I couldn't then turn the candle on and have it glow because the button would be covered. So instead, I just made it so I could pull that top one out, turn it on, put it back in there, and it would stay. And then for this one, I cut this Dollar Tree $3 red velvet ribbon. I cut it down to size, and then I cut it in half so it wasn't as thick, tied it around the center, and the goal of these ribbons are not only to help keep it in place, but also to cover those rubber bands because those aren't cute, but they're definitely functional. These smell heavenly. I ended up using a whole bag on each of them, so you have to have a decent chunk of cinnamon sticks. And also, I'm a huge fan of the LED candles because of Finn. I don't want any candles falling over. So with this, I get a great scent and ambiance without having to worry about the risk of a flame. One of their candles was almost $60, and I was able to make mine for $5. Woohoo! I love me some Mercury glass for the holidays, and I have never tried a gold version. I've done silver before, and I haven't ever been able to find a fluted look that I liked, like the West Elm ones, until now. I went to Walmart and I bought some of these fluted glasses, serveware. They're like $3 a piece, and I started by spraying the inside of them with some silver looking glass spray paint. This is optional, but I had it on hand and I decided to do this so that the glow would come from both inside and outside of my Votives, which these cups are going to turn into. Once they dried, flipped over so everything could kind of drip out, I used some gold metallic spray paint as well as just a little spritzy bottle I had in my house, filled it up with some water, and I spritzed from a distance onto my votive. And then I'm going to do some super light coats of the gold metallic spray paint right over where I sprayed the water. And then you're going to take a paper towel and you can either pop the bubbles, or if you want a different look, you can smear it with that paper towel. I like to pop the bubbles because the water is going to prevent the paint from sticking, and that's what's going to give you that vintage aged Mercury glass look. Spin it around, continue it a few more times, and I ended up doing 2 rounds total to get the look that I wanted. I still wanted them to be a little bit opaque, and these turned out great. You can also pat your paper towel on there or rub it to get some streaks. And it's kind of fun to experiment to kind of see the style and look that you're going for. Once you put an LED or regular candle inside, it glows, and I absolutely love them. And they give you that West Elm Pottery Barn look on a super small budget. Up next, we are going to do a mashup of this faux cypress wreath along with these brass bell wreath hangers that I saw at Pottery Barn. Here's the idea. You have the wreath hanger and it adds bells to any wreath that you have. Well, we're going to make the whole thing mashed up for much cheaper. I find that the best place to find wreaths this time of year is Walmart. The one I grabbed was $16.98, and then you're going to need some bells. If you're lucky enough to find these at Hobby Lobby on sale 50% off, you can get the string already done for $9, which I think is a great deal. Walmart has their own options, and they also have some ones that aren't gold if you want to make them over using the technique I'm sharing today. I ended up going with these from the craft section at Hobby Lobby just because they were so much cheaper to DIY than to drive around all over creation to figure out where the cheapest one was. I'm all for saving money, but sometimes running all around creation and wasting your time is just not worth it. So we kind of have to be smart when we're duping things here because yes, you could save, but you could spend $50 in gas and then it's really not a dupe, is it? And what I think they did is they went for the cheaper option for the finish. So we're going to use some rub and buff to really make these look a little bit more shiny, a little bit more like banged up metal, and a little bit more like that inspiration. So I originally started with one color of the gold rub and buff and decided that it was a little too rose gold for me. So I ended up doing the different color, which is gold leaf on the top of it. And I like the top one better, but I wanted to share both in case you want more of a rosy gold look. Any bells that you see that you're like, I love the shape, but the finish looks kind of cheaply done because it's in a budget bin or budget area of the store, no worries. You can get rub and buff for like $6, and I've had the same container for literal years. You don't need a ton of it, and you can really make them over. Now back over to our wreath. At Walmart, I grabbed some LED lights so that I could make this wreath a light up one. And I decided to spend the extra $1 to grab these beat sync ones. Now, full transparency, I think they work, but I have been kind of messing with them and they aren't fully hooked to the sound as much as I want them to be. So maybe it's okay to just stick with the regular LEDs. Nonetheless, whichever you pick, you just want to make sure that it has a battery pack so that you don't have to plug your wreath in so you can hang it wherever you want. These Beats ones had fairy lights, so I went through, unraveled all of my lights, and strung them through my wreath. Now, once it was where I wanted it, I wanted to make sure I went up and down the branches like you would if you were stringing lights on a tree. I took some jute twine and tied the little battery box onto the wreath. I made sure that I could easily find the button because nothing is worse than getting done with your DIY and being like, I can't turn my wreath on because I don't know where the button is. Then my last step was to get my bells strung up so they could hang on my little wreath hanger, and I did that by using some jute twine, and I just tied the original jute twine on my bells to different layers, so then that way all I had to do was take the string and hang it on my wreath hanger. Then I took it outside because one of my best tips for wreaths is fully assemble it with your last couple pieces where you're going to display it, and that just helps you get everything put together so you don't get it perfect in your craft room and then put it on the door and you can't get it back how you like it. So I'm hanging my wreath that is lit, and then I am hanging my little bell hanger, and then you can also tie on some ribbon. I decided to use some black velvet from Hobby Lobby, and I just ended up adding this at the end so I can change it out for red or green, and this could also be a winter wreath. Well beyond Christmas, I am huge on Christmas and winter decor that can stay up well through February because it gets cold and it feels like winter all the way usually into March here in Illinois. So while there isn't a direct comparison with this dupe, I think this is such a fun mashup of the two items. And I already had the wreath hanger, so I ended up saving a ton of money. A beautiful wreath like this would definitely not cost this amount. It'd cost way more. So I'm super happy with the under $35 price tag for how beautiful and easy it was to put together.
We are fully into the Christmas craft season, and I have been having full days creating DIY content for the Craft Buddies. Now, on those days that I am super slammed, it's really hard to stick to healthy eating habits, especially when I don't have a ton of time to prep those meals. Because of all that, I was excited to try Factor. Their fresh, never frozen meals are delivered right to my door, and they've helped me get back on track with a healthier lunch routine. So today is Wednesday, and you can probably tell by my nasally voice that I am sick, and so this came at the right time because usually when I'm sick, I'm exhausted and I reach for things that are easy, which is usually junk. It's nice to have these on hand because I can make them and not add more to my feeling icky by eating junk. Factor chef prepared meals, juices, and smoothies stock my fridge with nutritious ingredients that I can just grab and go. The meals are ready in 2 minutes, which is great for my schedule, and I feel much better about what I'm eating. Factor allows you to really customize your plan, either by picking your favorite meals to fill your box with their more than 35 weekly meal options, or you can let Factor pick for you based on your history and your taste preferences. You can pick from plans ranging from 4 to 18 meals a week, and their options range from keto, calorie smart, and chef's choice to things like vegan and veggie. Factor is also now owned by HelloFresh, which also owns Green Chef, which I've shared with you guys before. I love having meal options that I can both heat and eat with Factor, and then others that I can spend a bit more time on cooking when I have it. If this sounds like something that could make your busy holiday season a little bit easier, head to factor75.com, or you can use the link down in the description and use my code WHIT50 for 50% off your first Factor box.
Large artwork is always beautiful, but it can cost so much money. So for this year, I have created a whole new pack of Christmas printables. I've got over 20 options for you over on my blog. I've got everything from baking to music to religious, non-religious, even some pink options, so be sure to check that out. And I also wanted to show you a really quick and easy way that you can take these printables that I will give you for free, enlarge them, and create large signs if you want. You can print them all the way down to a 4x6, but you can make them huge. I've got the full tutorial on how to do that in my recent Christmas DIYs video, so I will link that up above and down below so you can check it out. I love DIYing for the holidays, but sometimes it is just easier and cheaper to just buy a dupe instead of DIYing. And one of the dupes I found was for this Mercury glass tree. Now this one is awesome because it's from Dollar Tree. It's only $5, and the best part is that it lights up and it is plastic. This thing is so nice because if you end up knocking it over, it's not going to shatter on you. And if you pop in 2 AA batteries, it lights up so nice. This would be beautiful for above cabinets or even on just a little display on your coffee table. And if it gets knocked over, no big deal. Something else that's super trendy for the holidays right now are mango, acacia, or just unfinished wood trees. They were big last year, but they really are back with a vengeance this year. So I would check places like Walmart, Target, and Hobby Lobby so you can get some of those as well as unfinished trees to add to a setup, give it a modern touch, as well as that wood grain will really warm it up. Another wood dupe that I was so excited to see were these nutcrackers from Pop Shelf. They were only $6, and they are an exact dupe for the Pottery Barn nutcrackers that they sold last year. So if you have a Pop Shelf near you, it's owned by Dollar General, be sure to check it out because they have a lot of great Christmas finds. In October, that's the time of year that you see people going hog wild for garlands, especially when you find a good one, you gotta jump on it. I found this one at Hobby Lobby and it is beautiful. It is on sale right now for $50, and that is not a cheap garland by any stretch, but this is so thick and it's gonna look so beautiful on my banisters. So I ended up grabbing one for staging for videos and another one for decorating. I'm gonna pair it with these Hobby Lobby bells that were $9 for the set, swag them down my banister, and it is going to be great. And then another quick PSA, be sure to check out the Walmart greenery section and do it early because things are selling out quick. If you want to know what the hot items are that I'm seeing right now for Christmas, be sure to check out my top things to buy right now for Christmas before they sell out video. I will link that for you so you know what to keep an eye out for. This one comes to us from the Kirklands website, and as I was scrolling, I thought this was so cute and I thought I could totally make that. So I went to Walmart in their craft section and grabbed one of these $6 cutting boards and got to work. I started by measuring it to decide if I wanted it to sit on its side or straight up, and I decided to go a little bit different than the inspiration. I measured to find out that I needed to cut my decal to 7 inches wide, and this is a free file that will be over on my blog if you want to download it. I tried to find a font that was kind of similar to the inspiration, but that one was really hand lettered. And so sometimes I get a lot of people that ask about fonts, and you have to look at it and think, did somebody hand letter that digitally, or does it look like a font? And you could tell that was hand lettered because all the letters were different sizes and it didn't look uniform. But this, I think, has whimsy without needing to hand letter the font. I'm weeding it like a stencil, so I'm taking out all the inner pieces, and I'm using my paper transfer tape to add it right to my wood. I'm getting it centered, lined up, and then I'm going to apply it and peel off my transfer tape. You want to be careful as you are pulling. I'm using permanent vinyl for the stencil because I think it grips the best, but just be careful as you're peeling it back so your little pieces and your little letters don't go away. Then for the start of the show, torch paste. This is how we are going to get the burning into the wood. Now, if you don't have a Cricut, you can also use torch paste with silicone transfers. You can wash it right out, so that's something to keep in mind. If you don't have a Cricut, you can still do this. I like to use an old Cricut scraper, but you can apply it with the squeegee that it comes with, and you just want to carefully apply it over the top. I scrape it across, remove any excess, and you want to do it gently, but you're going to know everything's covered when your letters have this orange tint. I let it dry for about 20 minutes, and then you're going to peel your stencil off, so make sure it's dry, so then that way as you're removing these little pieces, you're not smearing your torch paste, because if you smear it, then that is going to burn as well, and it's going to not create clean lines like you want. Then I took my cutting board outside, I put on my sublimation heat protectant gloves just for safety, and I grabbed my Wagner heat gun. For this, you need a high heat gun. You don't want just an embellishing gun, so I will link what I use down below. It is super inexpensive from Amazon, and it's worked great. Then the key here is to keep moving your gun. I have this set to high, and you want to keep moving it until stuff starts turning black. If you leave it on any place too long, you're going to get some extensive burning, and it's not going to look that great. And as you can see here, it's already turning the wood outside of my letters a little bit black. Then to give it a little bit more uniform look, I'm going through and adding a little bit of distress charring to areas without the letters, just so it kind of all matches. Then I'm taking a really high grit sandpaper, like a 220, getting off any extra grit so it's completely flat. And then to seal it, I am using some of this Butcher Block conditioner. I have never used this before, but Courtney recommended it when she was talking about wood projects in our pinners class. And so I knew I had to go grab some and test it out. And I really like it. It's supposed to be wood safe, but I'm not sure with the science how that works because you put a chemical on the wood to burn. So I'm not going to tell you it's food safe, but I will tell you that it is really nice to finish it like that because it puts some life back into your wood. It's also nice because it's a great alternative if you don't have a laser machine, but you want to have that etched look on wood. Here's a quick reminder of the inspiration, about $70, and I made mine for around $8. I fell in love with Pottery Barn's gingerbread collection this year, but again, everything is so expensive. So we're gonna dupe the same look with some house shapes. You can go the wood route with birdhouses. You can also go to the thrift store to find some either Christmas Village or general houses like I did. I also found some really cool pieces just in general at the thrift store, like this little teapot that looked like a house that I was like, this was gonna be perfect. And I also grabbed a couple of these houses for $5 each at the Target Dollar Spot. My first step was to thoroughly clean all of my items that I got from the thrift store just to make sure there wasn't any grime on it and just to get rid of any germs. And then I decided to spray paint all of them with this warm caramel color from Rust-Oleum. This is normally the spray paint I use if I do gingerbread stuff. If you want to paint it by hand, my favorite color to do that is nutmeg brown. These iridescent houses covered so well with the spray paint. Same thing with the houses that I got from the thrift store. I pulled up a picture on my phone of the Pottery Barn ones just to kind of get my imagination flowing. But what I like about this is it's such a creative process. You can really do whatever you want. And this would be a perfect thing to do as I'm making them. I'm thinking this would be great for doing it with kids because this puffy paint is just fabric paint that I like to use to look like faux icing. So kids can do it. This would also be a super fun like girls' night, like have a couple friends over, have your favorite beverage, and get everybody some puffy paint and some houses and create some gingerbread decor. I think these turned out so cute. I love my little teapot, and I went the simple route, but don't think that you can't add things like glitter. You know, I'm not adding glitter, but you could definitely do that yourself. You could paint on some reds, some whites, some greens, a lot of different options, or you can stay simple like I did. I love these so much, and I'm definitely going to be doing a modified version with Finn this year. Also in that collection are these gingerbread house place cards, and I wanted them for my dining room table, but again, too expensive. So I grabbed these from Walmart. It was a 4-pack for around $5, and I started by popping off the little hangers because these are actually ornaments. Then I took my little sanding block and got rid of all the glitter on the roofs because it was just like, they had to have hit their glitter quota for the whole year in just these houses, I'm telling you. But nonetheless, we got it removed and it was fine. And then I grabbed nutmeg brown acrylic paint and painted everything, front, back, sides, top, roof, everything. And that's why I got rid of the glitter, so then that way I could paint it. Now the front had this like paper facade that a lot of Dollar Tree houses have. So I went through and removed that, as well as the 3D wood door. I thought about putting it back on, but I thought it would look kind of funny with the faux icing. So I just decided to rip that off, and I kept the little doors in case I need them for a different gingerbread house later on this year. Then it's the same process as doing those larger houses. I pulled up the inspiration and I ended up doing the roof and the front of these. I didn't end up doing the sides just because it was hard to do the super detailed stuff, but you could easily decorate the sides as well. I stuck a little bit more to what the Pottery Barn ones looked like for this, but the doors and stuff were different, so I just went ahead and outlined those, and this puffy paint is perfect. The last thing I needed to do to finish these off was to add some cute little nameplates. I just found this background on Canva, added a name, and then put a little dollop of hot glue in that opening of the top where I got the hanger off, and these things are good to go for Christmas time. I recently got a fun FaceTime call from my buddy Santa asking me to make one of these Santa sacks for him to fill when he comes to visit on Christmas Eve. Now I know so many of you have some little friends that watch this, so in case Santa gives you a call as well, I wanted to give you this tutorial. The bags I'm using are just laundry bags I got in a pack of 2 for $13 from Amazon, and they take vinyl really well. The files that I provide you, or you can make your own into Design Space. You can click upload image up here and just upload those. I've got all 3 in here now. So now that we have the text on here, we're just going to size it so it fits within this box, and you can change the color if you want, but it won't matter here in a second. I want it to be this height, but I want it to spread out a little further on this red piece, so we are going to go to letter space and go to about a 2. Now if your box is a little wonky, you'll just have to stretch it to be bigger. And oh, it actually did 20. Let's do 2. Okay, let's maybe do 5. And you kind of play with it until it fits the size that you want. And actually this you may have to ungroup because it's an SVG. Yep, so we're gonna hit ungroup, select the fin as well as this, and hit slice down in the corner. Then you can get rid of your actual text, the slice portion, and then the name is cut out of that piece. So we want to make sure that things are attached, not just grouped. So group is specifically for while you're editing, attach is for when you're cutting. So I'm going to cut that black all together. I am going to cut all of that together. I am going to attach, and you can go through and click each group. That makes it a lot easier. So click group, attach, group, attach, group, attach. So now when we go to make it on mat, it is going to all be lovely on each mat, the sizes that you need. Once everything is all customized, then you are going to use your colors of choice to cut out the vinyl on your Cricut using that free SVG. Remember to mirror your settings and put your shiny side down on your mat, because I made a miscut. Even after all these years, I still sometimes forget. It is the bane of my existence, but it's okay. I fixed it. Then I went through, weeded everything out, and then I set my heat press to 320 degrees. You want to make sure you check the settings on your particular heat transfer vinyl. And I like to press mine for between 15 and 20 seconds. I also like to do a pre-press to get rid of some of those deep inset wrinkles. But I left the middle one because it helped me be able to center my decal. What I like to do is fold the non-sticky sides together to create a crease in the center, and then that's going to help you line it up center on your bag. So on the first bag I did 'Twas the Night Before Christmas in the black vinyl. I'm holding this for, like I said, 15 to 20 seconds. And then my vinyl that I'm using is the Caesar Easy Weed, and it is a hot peel. You want to check the packaging because some heat transfer vinyls you peel when it's still hot, and other ones you need to let it cool down to completely set. So check the packaging, or you can Google whatever type you have. Just make sure you're not peeling incorrectly, because for so many years I peeled cold peels when they were hot, and it was a nightmare because they wouldn't stick. So learn from my mistakes. And bada bing, bada boom, Santa is going to have some fun bags to fill when he visits our house. So if you happen to get that special call from Santa for your kids or grandkids, you can come back to this video and create these, or you could just put your own gifts in them as well. You could customize what it says. It could say, you know, ho 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 from Grammy or from Gigi. You could also cut out a coloring page of their favorite character, so then after they take their gift out of the bag is also a gift. They could color on it with fabric markers. Cost difference, $69 for the Pottery Barn versus $12 for mine. I think Santa put me right on the nice list for that.
That's going to do it for this round of high-end dupes. If you loved it, be sure to head down to the comments and let me know your favorite project from today's video, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Also, while you're down there, expand that description box and head over to learn more about Factor. You can head to factor75.com or via that link to use the code WHIT50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. A huge thank you to them for sponsoring this video and supporting Whiskey and Wit. Huge thank you to my craft buddies for also being a huge support to this channel. And if you haven't already joined us, no worries. You can beat that FOMO really quick. Just click the subscribe button. That way you will be notified every time I post a new video and you won't miss any future Christmas DIYs. I will catch you guys in the next one, and I hope you are having a wonderful week. I'll see you soon. Bye!